I think in this day and age, the history of the Farm Bureau and Nationwide is known to everyone in Nationwide and at the Farm Bureau. But I think there are a lot of people who are shocked, startled by the way Nationwide started and why it started. So Adam, I'm going to start with you and tell me a little bit about how Ohio farmers first formed the Farm Bureau.
So humble beginnings, right? And we look right out the window at the Nationwide towers over there, and that's where our office is still located today. The Ohio Farm Bureau is in the Nationwide complex, and you go back to those humble beginnings in the 1900s, early 1900s, and you had a number of farmers coming together here in Ohio and across the country. They were forming farm bureaus in various states, and here in Ohio, we got together at a building, Jennings Hall. Jennings Hall at Ohio State University, so just south of the main library. So if you're on Neal Avenue there, heading south from the Oval, you'll see a plaque there, and it's in front of the building. And Ohio State doesn't put up many historical plaques, but there's one there that signifies that that's where, in 1919, January, there was a signature signed, and it formed the Ohio Farm Bureau. And that was helped created by Ohio State Extension Service and their work reaching out to farmers and working with farmers to innovate, to do research, to try to find the latest best practices in 1919. That was a big deal. Then working cooperatively, farmers wanted to come together to advocate for rural Ohio, for communities, not just rural communities, but for communities in food production. Also for legislative efforts, but also for things like social issues and education. These were all important to farmers at that time frame. And it was very important for them to put together an organization called ultimately the Ohio Farm Bureau in 1919, which led then to a few short years later, 1926, the creation of Nationwide.
And Kurt, I'm going to ask you to pick up the story there, because it's very different to have this very practical farm community to suddenly a services community. So how did that come about, that an insurance company was born?
It's interesting. I'll pick up on two of the words that Adam has shared already, and he talked about collaboration, and he talked about cooperation, and more specifically, the cooperative movement. So you think about the mid-20s, and there was a group of farmers in rural Ohio that said, we don't think it's fair. Right? We don't think it's fair that people in rural Ohio paid the same amount of premiums for auto insurance as people in Cleveland or Cincinnati or Columbus. So they got together, and with a $10,000 loan from the Ohio Farm Bureau, Ohio Farm Bureau Auto Insurance Company was born. So we issued our first policy in April of 1926, and later that year we had our first claim. And we have our 100-year anniversary coming up, so we've been spending more time kind of going through the archives. Steve Hosfeld, who's our historian, is here with us today. And we know that the first claim we ever paid was in 1926 to Russell Fox. He had a theft from his auto. Someone stole an inner tube, a tire, and a rim, and we paid him $25 for it. Here's what we love about it, the fact. He wrote us a letter afterwards and said, it was incredible. I received my money within 24 hours of my claim being submitted. Today, we would label that extraordinary care. So the other thing I would offer is, Adam, we have paid the $10,000 back that you loaned us back in 1926.
Appreciate that.
But, and I think if you think about who Nationwide is, people say, well, are you a property casualty company? Or are you a financial services company? Last year, we did about $53 billion in revenue. About $33 billion actually came from financial services. The other part came from property casualty. People often think about us as an auto insurance company.